Welcome to this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. I'm your host, Ril Dil Quinn, on this 11th of January 2023. Still get used to saying that. We have reached the NFL playoffs, Super Wildcard weekend. Of course, it would not be a podcast if I wasn't joined by the Buffalo Mafia leader, Robert Sapp. Mr. Sapp, how you doing this
I
evening?
don't know about all that. I'm doing really well.
Well,
How
one of the
you
leaders.
doing?
You one of the leaders of the Bills Mafia.
Bills
Um.
Mafia, they got it, but yeah, I've been around for a little bit. This new age, they got it, but I've been around for a little bit. I've
So
suffered. It's my point. I've
yes,
suffered.
yes. You're going through a lot of pain. So as always, we would
Mm-hmm.
begin with our themes. Um. Going into the playoffs, and my theme is, and I thought long and hard about this, and I came to this conclusion. I really, I don't really trust any of them, and I came to that theme because I just looked at how flawed every one of these teams are in the playoffs, and just I don't have a feel for how this thing is going to end up. Now this weekend, my picks are going to be relatively not too. I kind of get a sense of who I think is going to advance. That's not the case. I'm just telling you an overall feel of how this thing could go in regards to who can get to the Super Bowl. But I just don't really like these teams in the playoffs. I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like any of them. Uh, there are no complete teams. Now it makes for excitement as far as parity and things of that nature, but more times than not, going to the playoffs, I would have a feel of, all right, this is the team to beat, or these two teams are the team to beat. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have that right now going to the playoffs. So henceforth, I don't really trust any of them. A theme for you.
Just win, just win. Like that was the thing, and like the last season is also like a lot of division rivals as well, and so it was um, it was a time to for those teams that should win, needed to win, um, had to win. Everybody took care of business and took care of business in their own way. So that was just kind of my theme. It was like just like close the season out and close it out with a win.
So we move to all the thoughts. Of course, I have not spoken to Robert Sapp since
Yeah.
that just devastating
Mm-hmm.
injury that took place last Monday night with, of course, Demar Hamlin. Um, that was a difficult podcast to do last week, to say the least, for me, because of what transpired with that. And you just it really it was just something, like I said, it's something that I had never, as a fan of football for better part to have a 30 plus years, is something I had never seen before. Never thought that anybody could possibly die on the field, possibly. For a couple of minutes there, it looked like that, you know, was a possibility. Thankfully, the training staff, Bills training staff, and the trauma hospital only being 2.5 miles away, everything was aligned perfectly for Demar Hamlin, from that standpoint. And he since then has made, still of course has a long way to go, but has made a more than miraculous recovery to get to a point to where he was released to rehab back in Buffalo. Um, just a tremendous outpouring of support from the whole, just seemingly sports community, just seemingly everybody. Even he brought Twitter together for a week, which is one of the most negative places on planet Earth. But even you look on tweets and people, prayers up and things of that nature, a lot of support from that standpoint. You, as a lifelong Buffalo Bill fan, from last Monday to now, what what has your world been like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really gonna speak on that because there. I mean, like in terms of like the whole thing, like right there, because you know, that's a man's life, and I don't play around with that stuff. But what I will say is that the the um the the tone and the mood of the fan base was um was it made me proud to be a Bills fan. Let me just say that. It made me very, very proud to be a Bills fan because nobody was talking about sports, nobody was talking about football. People were talking about the man. And so like I'll leave it at that. But that made me really, really happy. And truly honestly, I didn't care if we played that game, like the number one, all these extra things that were mattering before cease to matter. And that's the exact way it should be when something like that happens. So with that being said, going into that Patriots game, you talk about not having a feel for the teams. I have a really good feel for all the teams, but that game, that specific game, that was the first time in a very long time, especially with the team that I follow, where I had zero idea how that game was going to go. Zero. I had no clue. I had no clue what I was going to see against the Patriots. And so I'll localize it to that game. It was, I didn't know how exciting it would be with that opening kickoff. I didn't know how excited it would make me, that opening kickoff. I mean, I literally was in 30th Street Station. I was in the train station and I was watching on my phone and standing in line for a train that had been delayed for a while. And everybody's irritated and just and like that kickoff happens. I'm jumping, I'm fist pumping right in front of Eagles. I didn't care. I immediately threw on my brand new Bills hat. My family got me a Josh Allen jersey for Christmas. So like it was just like, okay, like that was needed. It was needed in a way that I think none of us actually knew how much it was needed as just like a sports release. Has nothing to do with his fight, but just as a sports release, it was very, very cool. That moment was very cool. And then as the fan that I am, I will never, ever, 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 ever get tired of sending New England home. Ever, ever, ever get tired of sending them home. Ever get tired of sending them home. So that was the icing on the cake of a horrible experience from the other game. Was the fact that the team came back, played a game. It didn't even matter how they played, to be honest with you. It just really didn't even matter. They played a game. They successfully got through a game. Everybody made it out healthy and well. And then the added bonus is we got to send the Patriots home for the playoffs, which is always a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think that if you're a Buffalo fan, I mean I'm not a Buffalo fan, but I couldn't be any more prouder of a team coming off what they had to deal with the entire week to go out there and perform the way they did. And I think that, you know, you can look at mistakes over the course of a football game. You can look at this, that, the third. The offense wasn't great the first half, came along in the second half.
That's not a game to break down like that.
But that's not. It's not. No, no. That's not. No,
Break
no. It's not. That's
Yep.
to your point. It's not. It's not even about that. The team showed up.
Nah.
They
played like
they
that.
played.
That literally.
Yes,
they
played. They
were
played.
able to play football.
They were able to play football, and they uh you know, they did themselves. They did themselves. They did the whole city. They did everything. I did everybody who roots for Buffalo proud. Period. Period. That's all there is to it. Um, I was just wondering, you know, like some of the thoughts came in my head in terms of, and I heard some of this, and maybe I mean you could speak to this. Just wondering about that emotion of let's do it for Demar and how how that could go in so many different directions. I remember when Sean Taylor was killed. Tragically, he was murdered back in '07. And ironically, we were playing the first game they played, Washington played, was against Buffalo. Buffalo won the game, ended up winning the game, and Washington struggled until then got hot late and made a playoff run to the playoffs before getting put out by Seattle. But I just remember just how just it was just like that, that emotion can just be, it could be galvanizing and draining at the same time. So I just kind of thought about that with Buffalo, not only in this game, but even for the for the future, which is now, because they have Miami this weekend, for just a playoff run of how they will use that, or do you even try to tap into that at all? Which I agree with that. I don't think you yeah, I don't think you try. I don't think it's about Demar. He's recovering. So yeah, he's in our thoughts. He's in our prayers still. We're gonna support. He's still our guy. But I don't think, trying to tap into that will be effective, because you still got. I mean, it still comes down to execution when all that emotion, when all that emotion is brought into it. You still gotta go out there, execute a game plan, block, tackle, so on, adjustments by the coaches. That still is going to be difference between winning and losing. And just but yeah, so I kind of thought about that. But if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, I'm sure there were no complaints. Like you said, you played the game, you won the game, and the Patriots. You played the game, you won the game, and the Patriots went home. So you got the triple. That was a 3 for 3.
There you go.
So
there you go. All good.
Game of the week, Jacksonville. Speaking of a great run, Jacksonville gets to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. Of course, that year they were a loaded Jacksonville team. Remember, that's the Jalen Ramsey team that had not LeGarrette Blount, but Leonard Fournette. They had a very good team that year, and almost should have beat New England to get to the Super Bowl, if you remember. They completed just a remarkable turnaround for the in terms of their season. Take out the Tennessee Titans team that, of course, we know was devastated by a myriad of injuries. Something like 23 starters, including their quarterback. When you have Joshua Dobbs quarterback, and you're not. It's not a good thing. But still, it was a struggle, divisional struggle. They get a late touchdown off a scoop and score. Great play by a defensive player. Great by both by both Walker and Allen to make that play and win the game. Fun game to watch because this is a divisional rivalry with everything on the line. You see a team maturing in front of you. You see a quarterback getting better and maturing in front of you, and Trevor Lawrence. And listen, when I'm watching this game, I'm thinking about, damn, how bad was Urban Meyer?
Organizational malpractice.
Oh my God!
They should have organizational malpractice. This
was like, because this is basically
Jacksonville from the league.
Now they went out. Give Shad kind of a lot of credit. They went out and spent some money. They spent a ton of money on free agency. All those guys paid off, but still, for the most part, this is still basically the same team that they had in 2021. Like it's not that dramatically different. So you go from one of the worst years for a franchise in terms of just not only just on the field but off the field into making the playoffs in 1 year. That just lets you know all you need to know about just like Urban Meyer is one of the worst 1-year coaches that you will ever see, and has no business ever coaching in the NFL again. Again, to say the least. So give Doug Peterson a lot of credit. He is, they got an adult in the room. They got somebody who, who's obviously knows what he's doing from that standpoint. They play to their defense. They play to their quarterback. And they got the job done. When they win a division, they didn't leave it up to some crazy scenarios. If they would have lost, which they probably wouldn't have got in, if they would have lost, they would have lost on Saturday. So I give Jaguars an awful lot of credit because there were a number of times during the season where things could have went left real fast, and we could have been talking about them being a potential top 5 pick and things, top 10 pick and things of that nature. But they turned it around and they find themselves in the playoffs with a home game at that. What are your thoughts on this game in Jacksonville?
Yeah, I mean, me and my brother, we broke it down yesterday. He helped me identify. Like, I always forget about Jacksonville. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan, and it's because of the Urban Meyer thing. And it was organizational malpractice. And what I did subconsciously was I just ejected Jacksonville from the league. Like, I have a blind spot on them. I have to admit that. I have a blind spot on them. They have to win the Super Bowl for me to acknowledge their existence again, I think. I just have a blind spot on them. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that franchise. I'm not a fan of what they did. Trevor Lawrence can be as good as he wants to be. I do not believe in Jacksonville as a franchise, as a team. It's cool that they made it in with a 9-8 record, which was enough in the South, but wouldn't have been enough in a lot of other divisions.
Right.
So it's cool that they did it, and they're a nice story, and I can acknowledge that they're going up, but just I have a blind spot on them because I think they're a poorly run franchise. But good win for them, good win for their fan base, all of that stuff, yada yada. They're a young team and they're up and coming, and they're going away. I know we'll get to this. Just my particular game of the week was Green Bay, Detroit. So I was just way more excited into that game.
I completely agree.
So I know
it was a more
that's
exciting
coming up.
game.
But yeah, I mean, it was good. Like you said, it's a good, solid win. Divisional rival, the team that's been dominating the division. So I get all of that, and their fan base should be absolutely excited, everything like that. I just have a personal blind spot against Jacksonville because they tried to destroy their franchise. They tried to destroy it in 1 year. And so
for 1 year they did destroy it.
I don't know how much credit I can give you for blowing up your house and then building it back. I don't know how much credit I can give you for that. I really don't.
No, I get what you're saying, but I give Doug Peterson. I have to give Doug Peterson a lot of credit.
Oh, Doug Peterson? No. Peterson didn't have nothing to do with that. He came in there and did his thing. He had nothing to do with what they did last year. No, Peterson gets much kudos.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Tennessee will have major question marks, of course, about the quarterback situation next year. As a lot of teams will have still similar questions.
By the way, Tennessee was dead the minute they traded A.J. Brown. They were done. They just didn't know it.
Yeah. Very similar to Green Bay. Similar to Green Bay. Yep.
They didn't even know it. Yep.
They didn't know it. Yep. Exactly right. Speaking of Green Bay, games of note: Green Bay, Detroit. Detroit sends Green Bay home. Home at home. They send them home at home.
Bye-bye.
This was this game was the epitome of the Green Bay season. You had a average to mediocre Aaron Rodgers. They couldn't do anything in the red zone but settle for field goals. They could not get out their own way with turnovers and just dumb shit like pushing a trainer who's trying to attend to a player.
Just dumb.
And they ultimately could not stop the run. So this loss made perfect sense. I'm not surprised at all. Even though I picked Green Bay to win the game, I thought it'd be a very close game, but I'm not in the least bit surprised by this loss. And if you are surprised, then you just haven't watched Green Bay all season long. Green Bay was not a very good team. They haven't been good all season long. They completely get what they deserve. This is they didn't even deserve to make the playoffs. And I'm actually glad they did make the playoffs because their play over the course of the season was just putrid. Even to be honest with you, they caught some breaks during this win streak. Like Tua was concussed when he threw 3 straight interceptions. Okay.
Yep.
The Minnesota, that shit was just Minnesota being Minnesota, just a complete no-show by Minnesota. But that's Minnesota. That's
Minnesota.
You can't.
Shit like that. I was like, come on, Minnesota.
You can't.
I'm up here taking up for you. You can't. I need y'all to do better.
I was thinking about you too. I definitely was thinking about you. I was watching that shit.
Taking up. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. So they
See?
call a break with that.
That's why.
But yeah, Green Bay, you know, they were just a bad football team this year. And like to your point about AJ Brown, they never recovered from Devontae Adams. Period. They never recovered. There was no recovery from that at all. You don't replace the best receiver in football. Okay. Unlike Kansas City, they didn't. There was no plan. Okay. So
no plan.
No plan. There was no plan. And ultimately, they get what they deserve. They got what they deserve. And by the way, Detroit, I'm not looking at Detroit for 2023 as this up and coming team because they're not. To be honest with you, I don't think Detroit's any good. I think Detroit had a nice year. They, give them credit for finishing a game over 500 and not being one of the worst franchises in the league. But they're not. Detroit's not. I can't take Detroit serious moving into next year. They're not up and coming. They had an easy schedule and they in a bad division. Played some bad football teams. And I'm not into Detroit at all. If you're a Lions fan and you want to pat yourself on the back for finishing a game over 500, knock yourself out. But the Green Bay season was a complete failure and it ended the way it should have ended. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything on Green Bay. With Detroit, I would say I have clowned Dan Campbell in my head or publicly pretty much since he's gotten there. I have to give him credit on this one. He had the boys ready to play. Detroit had nothing to play for at all. Zero. Nothing.
He did.
Nothing to play for except eliminating Green Bay. I respect that. A division rival who's just like, you know what? What we want to do is ruin your life. I respect that. That's division rivalry stuff. That's the good stuff about sports. That's just competition for the sake of competition. We just want to beat you. Period. In this story. Yeah. So I did not think they would be ready to give that type of effort with nothing at all to play for, with the team that has all the things to play for. So I have to give him credit when credit is due. He had them boys ready to play. Do I believe in Detroit going forward? No, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about ruining Aaron Rodgers' life, which is fun.
Yeah, no, you got give him Dan Campbell.
I think give him credit on that one. You
got to give him credit for that. They had nothing to play for.
Credit when credit is due.
They had nothing to play for.
Zero.
Once Seattle took care of business. Getting back to Green Bay, I'll listen to the Aaron Rodgers press conference. And also watch this is Aaron Rodgers is. We've said this. We've said this countless times.
Not his teammates care what Aaron Rodgers has to say.
We've said this countless times on this program and on this podcast, and I'm just going to continue to beat a dead horse, but whatever. The epitome of just a narcissism, all about me, like the whole walking off the field slow, and the jersey thing, and I want to take it in, and like just. It was too much for me. I was like, yo, we get it. We get the fact that you might not be back next year. We get it. How about the fact that your team played like shit and you played like shit and you're going home, you lost to the Detroit Lions. How about that?
And if you're not back next year, it's because you can't carry the team. That's why.
Right. Yes.
It ain't because it's time to go.
No.
It's so you looking at the state of the league. You like Mahomes, Allen, Burrow,
Herbert
have leaped over you. And Herbert's right there. All the other young boys are coming. It's a to be determined on Cleveland, a total to be determined. Yep. So you see the landscape. You're not the guy anymore. You're not even close to the guy anymore.
And I'm like,
matter of fact, everybody gets irritated with you when you talk.
So I listen to the press conference, and he basically, I mean, of course he's not going to give a definitive answer, but I think it's probably 50-50 whether he comes back or not. But it might even be 40, 60 against, to be honest with you. I could definitely see him retiring. I think that he has so much, he's so narcissistic, and he has so much pride that he wouldn't even dream of possibly going through another season like this. And then people start calling him, like, because they didn't call him that this year as much, but people really just say, like, yo, you suck. So I don't even think his ego could even remotely handle that type of criticism. So I like I said, I could definitely see him walking away and retiring, without question. Like I matter of fact, well, we'll get to this, Will, with a later question.
I was gonna say, here's before you move on. The best point about that is not like people will try to make a story. Nobody even cares.
No,
Nobody even cares.
no,
It won't
no,
make a ripple if he
no.
retires or not.
It won't. It
It
won't.
really
No,
won't.
it won't. No, no, it won't.
Because it's not like Green Bay was a power, so it
No,
doesn't
no,
even
because
matter.
that to your
Sure.
point, yeah, Green Bay, people realize that the Green Bay window is closed. So it's like,
Yep.
yeah, you come, yeah, you win
Yep.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The money move is going to another team, and you didn't do that. So
Right.
that you're irrelevant in Green Bay, except to Green Bay. They can have all the feelings about you, but the rest of us are over you.
Yes. Yes. We've been over you.
We on to you. Like it's not even a thing. Oh, he only threw 5 in there. It's not like we know what you're doing. You're not trying to put the ball in harm's way to win a game. You rather not have the intercept. Anyways, we're just everybody. We're on the Brett Favre. I'm Brett Favre. On the Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's on to him now.
Yeah. Dallas, Washington. So speaking of, so Dallas basically did the polar opposite of what Detroit did in terms of showing up. And Dallas at the time, they didn't know it had something to play for because they didn't know that they were playing the same time as Philadelphia. And that game was relatively, it wasn't that competitive, but still they didn't know that Philadelphia had was winning, was going to, that game wasn't over with. So they still had something to play for from that standpoint. But this was as bad performance as you will ever see. Dallas goes out there and scores 6 points, 182 yards, 4 for 18 on third downs. Dak Prescott throws another pick six. They are trending in the wrong direction. I've looked at them. If you really study their last 5 games, they have not been good at all, to be honest with you. Dak Prescott in November, December, January has 20 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. This was, again, I watched this game from start to finish. This is not the type of performance you want to go into the playoffs with. Like you just against a division rival. And it was just putrid. It was like, how can you play this bad against a team that's not against a mediocre team like Washington? Like, I mean, Washington had some defensive players that did not even play. They're playing Sam Howell at quarterback. If I was a Dallas fan, I would not be feeling good going into this game against Tampa Bay this weekend, to be honest with you, based off that performance and based off really their last month. They haven't played well. Like like I said, even
Tampa's
the Philly
bad.
game.
Tampa's bad.
Hey,
I don't. Tampa's.
Look,
if you say Dallas, the Tampa's worse.
We'll get to that game. But
yep.
Like I said, I don't like this Dallas team right now at all. I think they hit their high point when they destroyed Indianapolis. Their high point was destroying Minnesota, beat and destroying Indianapolis. That's when we were like, oh, they could be scary. Ever since that, struggled against Houston, struggled against Philadelphia without Jalen Hurts. They look at their schedule. This game, of course, was horrible. The Jacksonville game that they choked away after having a big lead. They have not played well. Like they are trending in the wrong direction, and they don't have the type of championship pedigree to where, and I don't think any NFL team does where you can just turn on the playoffs. I just don't think that exists in the NFL. Like if you're not playing well going to the playoffs, it's not going to end well for you. It's not the NBA here where Milwaukee, somebody can go in and just turn it on. Really, like even that kind of is not even happening in sports right now, to be honest with you, where teams are playing poorly going into the postseason and then turn it on and get to the finals or win the finals. I think that day has kind of been dead for sports the last 5 to 10 years, to be perfectly honest with you. But it definitely doesn't happen in the NFL. So again, this was an awful performance from start to finish. I have no faith in this team in the postseason. Maybe they get past Tampa Bay, maybe, but they're not a threat to do anything major to me. They're not a threat at when I mean at all, at all. What are your thoughts?
So I had a conversation with when I got to DC, the Dallas game hadn't started. Yes, I had a conversation with some Commander fans, and they didn't even want to win the game because of they wanted a higher seed. And I was like, you gotta be Dallas. You gotta want to be Dallas.
Right.
Draft picks are. You gotta want to be Dallas. You just have to. And so I was very happy that the actual team wanted to beat Dallas as much as I wanted to see Dallas get beat by a division rival. So like you can't there's just no slipping. You can't slip in this league. You can't just chill. You can't relax. You can't throttle it down, and you especially can't do that against a division rival, or they'll eat your lunch. And that's exactly what happened. Dallas played themselves, thinking they could just do as they pleased, and it turns out you can't.
Yeah, it was just. I mean, it was just it was a performance. They just slept walk, and it's like they're gonna play hard because you're Dallas. Like it's Dallas Washington. Like and they're at home. I mean, I I just didn't get forget about Washington. Just for the sake of you still have an opportunity to possibly get the number 1 seed. Like that still was on the table going into that game. So just from that standpoint alone, that should have been motivation enough. So that would bother me to even at more so. Like we we actually are playing for something beyond pride and beyond just trying to get another win. We're playing for the number 1 seed. We should be trying to win this game. And it looked like they were just, like I said, just going through the motions, and we'll just get to the playoffs when we get to the playoffs. But I'd be concerned about that. Dak Prescott this year had 15 interceptions, and I think when I watched Dak Prescott, he's a very good quarterback, but he's not a guy that you can't put too much on Dak. Like I don't think Dak can win you a playoff game if somebody shuts down the running game or contains their running game. I just think that he's not that guy right now, and he may never be that guy. But I think like right now, this Dak Prescott definitely is not that guy. Black Monday, of course, kind of started early. A couple of coaches that got relieved of their duties with Nathaniel Hackett and what have you. But none of these hot firings were surprised. Of course, Arizona, Houston, Carolina, Denver, Indianapolis. There could be some more openings as well, depending on the playoffs and also depending on what Sean McVay does. But I guess if you're ranking the jobs that are currently open, you have Arizona, Houston, Carolina, Denver, Indianapolis. If I'm a head coach if I'm a top tier head coach, which one of those jobs would I take first?
You start with Arizona.
Arizona, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because the others don't have anything at the quarterback position. Now, am I saying Kyler Murray is the truth? No, I'm not. But yeah, the others.
He's superior to all those other
wasteland.
quarterbacks by far.
Yeah, it's just wasteland.
What are your thoughts? And I haven't pictured up here. I feel somewhat bad for him, but I don't feel too bad for him. In terms of Lovie Smith. So Houston's had four. It was going to have 4 head coaches in 4 years. Another one and done black coach.
Horribly run franchise.
You talk about miserably run. They might be the worst franchise in the league right now, and they're fighting a couple franchises in that title. But they're
pretty bad.
They've done
they
in
might
the
have
last
that title locked up pretty good.
What they've done in the last 4 years, considering where they were at,
it's pretty bad. It is bad.
Like, who the hell won the coach
pretty
there?
Bad. How do you mess up the Deshaun Watson to Bernard Hopkins combination? Just how do you mess this up?
Yeah.
How do you mess this up?
Yeah.
How did you mess that up? I don't understand it. I don't understand it. You have a handle on Deshaun Watson. You know that should. There's just no. There's no other word. Me and my brother were talking about it. Like, just think, like when 4 coaches in 4 years. I mean, that says everything, because look at if Mike Tomlin's the coach there, is any of that happening? Any of this happening?
No.
When you don't have that leadership in the front office, the head coaching position, all types of shenanigans happen because so many things are mismanaged. So they're just bad. It's just really, really bad.
Yeah, none of these jobs are really that desirable, to be honest with you. The Denver job, they have talent, but Russell Wilson is Wilson Cook.
Well, so again, I was definitely breaking this down. So yes, he is he's done. Because and this is what I mean by done. Right now, Russell Wilson, this iteration of him you need to get him 2 receivers, a nice running game, and an offensive line, and then you got something.
But they have talent there. They have excellent offensive talent.
No, wait, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. He needs all of that. Damn how little, but no, not half of it. He needs all of it.
Right.
Not some of it. He needs all of it. That's where he is right now. But the problem is they paid him he was Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
He's the one that can go out and get it.
So they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to surround him with the talent.
They can't get him those supplementary pieces.
No.
And he doesn't have the time frame. It's not like he's 22.
No,
he doesn't have the time frame.
They're fucked.
To wait to get that roster. They're screwed. I'm not touching that job with a $50,000 pole if I'm there. It's just it's a huge mistake. It's a mistake you can't make, and they made it. It's a huge mistake. I'm not even saying they could have seen it coming. It probably was. I mean, I don't know the due diligence, but it probably was a warning sign that Seattle's so eager to get rid of him. They probably should have raised some alarm bells, but. We was all into it, so I can't even get super mad at them.
Yeah, we was into it, and plus Denver hadn't had a quarterback since forever. So they
No. So all those things, but a mistake is a mistake. Doesn't matter the reason why. It is a franchise offer mistake. It just is.
Yeah.
It just is. Two things come in question.
The money he's making. I mean, they're gonna start losing players. That's the reality of it.
No, that's the reality of the situation. It just is the reality of the situation. They messed up. They just messed up. It's just that simple. You screwed up, messed up. And 2 things come into question. One is the organization's ability to identify a young quarterback and then nurture them, right? That is a serious question. If Denver can't do that, then they're done for the long haul. They're just done. You just write them off for a very long time. They can play the rest of the game, the Colts and all the other games where you try to build a good defense and running game or Tennessee game plan. They can try that out for a little bit, see if they can build something around that, but that ain't going to get you a Super Bowl. So they're just, you can just write Denver off for as long as, until they get somebody in there that can do that. They're done. And then the second thing, this is the biggest thing. This is even a bigger thing to me, though. Russell Wilson's legacy is now in question. That's how big a move this was. Before this move, you ask somebody, is Russell Wilson in the Hall of Fame? You go, yeah, of course. He's in the Hall of Fame. Now in this move, you're going, at least I am, I'm looking, going, was Russell Wilson ever the guy? Was he ever the guy? Was he ever able to do that? And then when you start analyzing his career, big time questions start coming up. Big time questions start coming up.
It's funny that you said that. It's funny that you say that, right? Because I actually did that, right? I was looking back at his I was looking back at his numbers and what he did post Legion of Boom, okay? When he was the guy as far as the main guy on that team. I'm not saying that he ever was the guy in the league. And the numbers are fine. They went to the playoffs a couple of years.
Number.
They went to the playoffs a couple of years. He was still winning games. He was still winning games, but they were never a threat to compete for a championship after that. After that defense got old and injured and things of that nature, they were never the threat. I think we're gonna go back and look back and say it was about that defense and Marshawn Lynch. That's how I really think that's how this thing is going to age. To be honest with you. Now, and again, I'm not disrespecting Russell Wilson saying that he was just a game manager. No,
because you need to be a guy to get that bowl, unless you got
right. And they went to back-to-back Super Bowls. But so I pay him
literally.
But that defense was an all-time.
Literally, what I was about to say. Exactly, I was about to say. You got to be that dude unless you have an all. And now it's like, wait. They did have an all-world defense.
They had an all-time great defense. Yes.
Again, this brings it into question. It just does. Because you start analyzing that situation, and you could not be more correct. It starts to lean further away from him and more towards that defense and running game.
Yeah. No, I think. Man, it's going to
Nobody say Russell's not good. We're talking about Hall of Fame.
We're talking about Hall of Fame, like, you know, generation to if we look back at this generation of quarterbacks. No, his name's not going to get mentioned. We're going to think Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, like that's who we're going to be thinking about. Breeze, if you're going to go back even further. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, at their best, I'm gonna give you I'll say this: he does have the bowl, but to be honest with you, would you take him at their best over Matt Ryan at his best? Think about that.
I don't know about that, real.
Think about them at their peak, at their apex.
That's tough.
Matt Ryan was an MVP in the league.
Tough. I would say Matt Ryan is unequivocally a better thrower of the football than Russell Wilson. I think I could say that with pretty good confidence. I don't know if I could say that Matt Ryan was a better all-around quarterback for Russell Wilson, particularly with the way the league has continued to evolve. Like having
but it's at least I'm not saying he is, but it's at least it shouldn't even be a question. It's at least a question, right?
I mean, it is.
The way Russell Wilson's career has gone, like the way it's trending. My point is, we shouldn't even be asking this. We shouldn't even be asking this question if Russell Wilson was that guy. That's the overall point. Like it shouldn't you know what I'm saying? So look, it's gonna be I think to the original point, we're gonna look back at that Seattle defense and that running game as like the catalyst of that great run that they had. And Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll, if Wilson declines to a point to where he no longer does anything for the rest of his career, people gonna be like, well, Pete got rid of him at the right time. People gonna be and Pete Carroll. And the bottom line is, here's the bottom line too. This year, Russell Wilson's at home, Pete Carroll's in the playoffs.
It is a horrible look for Russell Wilson.
This is a horrible look
all the
with
way.
Gino Smith.
It's a but this is, I'm about to say, it's a horrible look that they trade you, they slide Gino Smith in. Gino Smith looks just like a different universe of a player, and conversely, you crater. Like that is like Denver, like legit. I cannot remember the last team that I looked at and said I cannot watch their football games. They were unwatchable to me. It was that bad at football. It was just like, this is unwatchable. So the drastic difference in those two, it's just like, ooh, Russell, this feels like this is you. This feels like this is a you problem here. This really does. It was like you were the problem in Seattle, and then you were the problem in Denver. This is a you problem. And that just doesn't bode well for the near future and his all Hall of Fame credit. But he is married to Sierra, so life is good.
I mean, no, he's winning in life. Russell, he's winning. I'm not. We're talking about football. We're talking about strictly football, folks.
We're talking about football. You're right.
I'm sure he's not shedding any tears right now. You're right. In his mansion.
Yeah, you're right. We just talked.
But it's kind of, it kind of reminds me too. It kind of reminds me of I call it it's like the Chris Paul thing where people put somebody on this next level and they get gauged against that versus what they actually are. Like people will try to put analytics will say Chris Paul is as good as Magic Johnson. Look at the numbers. And it's like, or try to put him on that level. And it's like, no, actually we know he's not. And I don't care what your analytics say, Chris Paul, Hall of Famer, but not all time. He's not on that level. And I think there's a point where people try to put Wilson on the level of Rodgers, Brady. People were trying to enter him somewhat in that conversation from in terms of as a contemporary, not overall, but as a contemporary at some point. And it's like, and we're finding out that, I mean, I never thought it, even when he was at his peak, but we're definitely finding out that no, he actually was never a guy that could carry a football team. So,
yep, it is looking like it.
Here's the thing too about this coaching situation, right? So, if I'm Eric Bieniemy, and let's take Arizona out the equation. Let's say Arizona doesn't go in that direction of Eric Bieniemy. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, I'm not taking any one of these other jobs that are open right now. I'm sorry. I've seen how it turns out for black coaches with shitty jobs, and it doesn't with no quarterbacks. I'm sorry. If I'm taking a job, I have to have a quarterback that either I feel like could be potential franchise or somebody who I feel like I can elevate that's going to have me in the playoffs year in and year out. I can't do the whole no quarterback shit. That has not worked for a black coach ever. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'll be assistant with Andy Reid and win another Super Bowl and wait for another job to open. He's still relatively young, Eric Bieniemy, in his like mid-40s or what have you. So he's still a young man from a coaching standpoint. But I'm not to take a job like a Houston or Indianapolis, especially with the organizations like Indianapolis, Houston, and Denver are just terrible, or Carolina too. They are just horrible organizations. Forget about just not having a quarterback. They're just horrible organizations. I can't do it. Like you're asking to get fired. I'm sorry, I don't want that on my resume.
It's tough. Tough choice.
It is. I mean, it's hard because these jobs are few and far between. But it's like, damn.
You want a head coaching position, but it's a tough choice.
It's like what? My window is gonna be what, 1 or 2 years? If we stink, I'm not getting 3 years. I know that. I'm gonna get at the most. I'm gonna get 2 years if the team's not good. So if I'm Eric Bieniemy outside the Arizona job, I just had to sit. I can't take any of those other jobs. I'm sorry. I'm not. I like. I guess he'll probably go through some interviews, but I'm telling you right now, these are just bad jobs. These jobs are just bad outside the Arizona job, which is not great. Which is not great at it in his own, in his, for reasons of they have some dysfunction in their organization, but they at least have a quarterback that I can build it with and build around. I feel this is going to be stock up for the season. So stock up for the season going to 2023. I have to say Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers were phenomenal this season from a standpoint of no one thought they were going to be any good. I actually was rooting for them to make the playoffs because I thought they were playing extremely well going into the playoffs. They had found something with Pickett and the receivers, their defense. You had T.J. Watt just destroying things when he came back from the injury, and I can't you just can't say enough about the culture. You can't say enough about Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin coached his ass off this year. Like he coached his ass off with this team. This team had no business winning 9 games. When I mean no business, none whatsoever winning 9 games without a quarterback. You're talking about having Mitchell Trubisky quarterbacking and a rookie quarterback for the majority of the season. And you go out there and, dealing, of course, the TJ Watt injury when him missing a significant portion of the season, they will be heard from next year. Like that, I think that they will. I think they will be a playoff team next year. I think they found something with Pickett. I'm not saying Pickett is going to be a star, but I think Pickett will be serviceable enough to where you can build some pieces. They already have excellent receivers. They already have they'll fix the offensive line from that standpoint, tweak the offensive line, and continue to add to their defense. But that they to me I had them stock up for the year because I had zero expectations for Pittsburgh this year.
Yeah, that's why I keep referencing Tomlin. Like he's a beast, he's a monster, and the best thing about Tomlin is all he cares about is winning. He's a competitor.
Yep.
He's just a competitor.
That's it.
It doesn't matter. He's not hearing. He's not hearing
excuses.
He's
No,
just not hearing it.
No.
It just like it doesn't matter. Like, could we get enough pick? No, we're not losing a bunch of games just to get a better pick. Like that's just not that.
It's not his DNA.
I respect
no.
that so much.
Yeah.
It's just
no,
win any way possible. Win.
Yeah.
Just win.
Yeah. I don't care how we win.
Yeah.
It's not.
Like,
It's not.
He was my like he coached his ass off. Just that simple.
He
head coached his ass off.
That's a no excuse organization. Like he said, like they say, they have their mantra, the standard is the standard. That's it. That's it. We out here trying to win football games. We're not thinking about tanking. What? What?
Nope.
No.
You just win. That's
no.
it.
And that mentality, that's just, that will win. That mentality will win you 4 or 5 games alone, which it did over the course of the season. So I had them for stock up for the year. Stock down for the year. I had the AFC West. Now Kansas City is Kansas City. Kansas City is Kansas City. We know the Chargers. We know the Chargers had a nice run and will be in the playoffs. But I had such high hopes for the AFC West. I was like, yo, this is gonna be one of the best divisions in recent memory. Look, this is gonna be a bloodbath, blah, blah, blah. And you had the Raiders and Broncos.
Yep.
You had the Raiders and Broncos. So the Denver has one of the worst offenses we've ever seen. Denver's offense is the worst offense I've seen in my lifetime. I've never seen a worse offense ever for a season. I've never seen a worse offense. I'm sure there have been offenses that have averaged less points and yards, but as far as aesthetically looking at them play offense, I've never seen anything like as bad as Denver was this season. And the Raiders, so you go from possibly you go from the playoffs last year and playing well actually in the wild card game against Cincinnati to benching your starting quarterback for Jarrett Stidham and who has no future in the NFL as a starter, by the way, and you continuously blow 13 and 14-point leads like they were nothing. Like there was like you Raiders be on 13 and 14 points. It was like, oh no, you know what's gonna happen. They're gonna lose. Like that, I mean, their performance this year was just like it was just like what are we doing here as a team that again has some talent, has some promise. Even though we were not, me and you were not high on the Raiders going into the season. Out of all those teams in the division, we weren't high on them at all. But I did expect them to be hovering around 500 and to be somewhat in playoff contention. Like I didn't expect this. So stock down for the AFC West as a whole. Who'd you have stock down for the year?
Oh, it's the two. I mean, you nailed it. It's the two. I'm gonna put the NFC West in there. Not the NFC West. The NFC South in there. But the AFC West is the one. Just absolutely stock down. Could not be more disappointed. Couldn't be more annoyed at how bad they were. Just all around. Just boo them. I'm just so disappointed in that division. To be honest with you. So couldn't agree more. Stock down to the NFC West.
Before we get to questions
AFC,
for yeah, and the NFC South could have been that was definitely in like they were not that far behind that division. The week in week out games that were awful in that division, especially within that division.
No,
they
you
were
couldn't.
like,
It's unwatchable. It was unwatchable.
horrible.
You couldn't watch those.
Horrible.
I mean, like you could watch them. Sorry, because Denver was unwatchable. You could watch them, but it was just god awful. It's god awful watching.
Before we get to the questions with Sap, a couple of statistical things of note that ended the season. So you have Patrick Mahomes over 5,000 yards, 40 touchdowns. He will be the MVP. I don't think there's any question about that. Justin Jefferson, over 1,800 yards receiving. There was a point that, he was, that we thought that he might get 2,000. We thought Tyreek Hill had a chance at 2,000 before, Tua, with the Tua injuries and things of that nature. Hill finished with like 1,700. 23 1,000-yard rushers. No, excuse me, 16 1,000-yard rushers. That's the most since 2019. So you saw teams get back to the running game, in some cases be forced into getting back to the running game because how poor quarterbacking was this year. Eagles and 49ers, the only two teams that finished top 5 in both offense and defense. 70 sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles. First time since 2017 that no team in the league averages 30 points a game. So what are your thoughts on some of those numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll take the last one and the first one, and I'll put them together. In terms of, the running one, that last one, and then the running point, right? Like because of the way defense, I've been consistent on this. Because of the way defenses are playing, the natural clapback for offenses has to be running the football. It's just the natural clapback. It has to be, because they're just playing completely pass and saying we don't believe you're gonna run. So that has to be. So that statistic makes sense to me. And then the points being down makes sense to me because of that. The way the defense has to play, because no defense wants to give up 35 points a game. 30, nobody's trying to hear that on the defensive side of the ball, no matter what the NFL wants and what fans want. The defense wants to stop the offense from scoring. So they're going to do and create whatever has to happen for that. And so it makes sense that defenses are sitting back, daring offenses to do long, sustained drives and not giving up the big play, which will knock that points per average down.
Yeah, no, it's that is a trend that I don't see going anywhere anytime soon. until the offenses make another adjustment. Questions for Sap. Where does Sean Payton end up?
Part of me says he doesn't coach this year.
Okay.
But I think he was eyeing San Diego. And then here's what So I think he was eyeing San Diego. So he's hoping San Diego didn't make the playoff. They faltered, and they didn't do that. So I would say Sean Payton's not taking the Arizona job. So he either doesn't coach this year, or the team that he does coach hasn't been identified yet. The playoffs have to shake themselves out. Could it be Dallas? Absolutely. We got to see how the playoffs shake itself out. I could see off of the Dolphins. Got to see how the playoffs shake itself out. So I could see teams that currently have head coaches that aren't quote unquote on the hot seat. But I could see teams dumping their head coach. Yeah, honestly, San Diego might even still need to play. Now that I'm thinking about it. That's the only thing that's giving me hesitation. None of the opening jobs Sean Payton is taking.
No, absolutely not. No.
Oh, it is a still to be determined team. That has an existing head coach right now. Probably, if you ask the odds maker, they're probably saying Dallas.
I think both Dallas and the Chargers are in play. To be honest with you, I think both those teams are in play, especially Dallas. I think
playoffs have to play out.
If Dallas loses this weekend, I could see Jerry Jones doing a big shakeup and just flat out offering Sean Payton the job. I definitely could see that. That would be a classic Jerry Jones move. So if he doesn't end up either there, I don't think he coaches, to your point. I agree with that. Like I said, there's zero chance that he's taking any of the open jobs right now. Zero.
No.
Zero.
No.
Period. Which coach survives a wild card loss? McCarthy or Brendan Staley?
You talking about this next round?
This round, yes, wild card. Yeah, they're both in the wild card.
Yeah. Ooh. I have to agree with you. If Dallas loses to Tampa, that's a devastating loss. That's a devastating loss. And that's the type of loss. If Sean Payton's ready to roll, you call Sean Payton and say, let's go. So just because of expectations, yeah, if Dallas loses this game, that's a big problem for McCarthy. That's a big one. They can't lose this game, to be honest with you. They can't. It would be bad. So I would have to say McCarthy doesn't survive the loss. So Staley survives it.
Which quarterback will be back in 2023? Rodgers or Brady?
Brady.
I agree. I don't see Brady retiring, to be honest with you. I think he's gonna play another year.
You'll give up your family and just retire.
Right, exactly. No,
year.
What's the motivation to him to retire? You play golf? No, boy, not Tom Brady. Yeah, give up your family.
Now, I buy Tom Brady to the Raiders, to be honest with you. I do think Tampa loses this weekend, and I do think Brady looks for greener pastures.
Devontae Adams, that'd be nice. They got some weapons. In the Raiders. He has some weapons.
I buy that. I buy that as a move.
He has
Whatever.
some.
He can
Yeah.
come back on to the AFC. Come back over here. Things have changed, sir. Things have changed since you were last over here. Come back over. Join your brother McDaniels. Go ahead.
Who won the regular season? Normally this would be who won the week, but we'll say who won the week, who won the regular season.
Kansas City.
I think it had to be the Chiefs. It had to be the Chiefs.
Kansas City won the regular season.
Yes.
Begrudgingly. Begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Like it's shitty circumstances. I don't have any comebacks or clapbacks for. It's just shitty circumstances. They got the number one seed and just got.
I mean, so
just got to live with it. Life isn't there, so just live with it.
You lose Tyreek Hill, you're still gonna have the MVP of the league. You have, I mean, you basically, don't miss a beat offensively. Matter of fact, the running back had more touchdown receptions than Tyreek Hill last year. McKinnon. Chris Jones was terrorizing people this year. He could be he's going to be in the conversation with defensive player of the year. He'll probably finish behind San Francisco is going to win it. Bosa's going to win it. Based on, and by best player on best defense makes sense. But Chris Jones would destroy people this year. Like he was all best year of his career. He's been all pro for like the last 2 or 3 years, but this year he just was killing people. And the culture, their culture, like we talk about Pittsburgh's culture, their culture is their culture. Like Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, that they're the standard as far as the quarterback coach, team combination right now. Like they're gonna, as long as they're together, Kansas City is gonna be
not out offensing.
No,
you're not out offensing Kansas City, and don't even try.
No.
Like, as long as Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are together, it's just a wrap. It's just a wrap. Everybody stop trying to beat. That's the gold standard, and nobody's reaching that level. Everybody get their weight up on defense as well.
Right. Yeah. No, you're not. To your point, you design your defense to go up against their offense, but to your point, you don't try to outscore them. Like you're not going to out scheme them offense. Like you're not going to create an offense that looks like theirs. That's just not, like, they're not replicable. You can't. No. Yeah, it's not. Even without Tyreek Hill, it's not replicable. It's not. So your best bet is
they're just better. They're just better. I went over the historical data of Kansas City, the Andy Reid and Mahomes combination, looking at all the other quarterback coach combinations in the same time period. They're just better. It's just that simple. They're just better.
Yeah. Biggest disappointment.
Offensive mind than Reid is definitely no better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes.
No. Mahomes is the top guy right now. It's not even a question. I think even this year he's separated himself a little bit. So yeah.
I think he reminded us all who he was.
Of who he is.
Everybody was tripping off of that game, the 13-second game. Everybody was tripping off of that for a second. He just reminded us who he was.
Yeah. Biggest disappointment, this one was easy for me. It's not like the Denver. Considering the expectations that I had and what I thought they could be, and the quality of their defense, which actually was very good at one point in the season, was great for the tail end. Is like you can't be a bigger disappointment considering, like, you coming in with what we thought was a franchise quarterback. You make the big splash. You don't give up any major assets to get him in terms of high level players. So I'm thinking, hey, Denver could possibly maybe an outside chance to compete for not only a division title but maybe for a Super Bowl. And they played the worst offense I've ever seen I can't remember a worse offensive team in my lifetime. I mean, I could definitely do some research and get numbers from that standpoint, but just in terms of watching with my eyes, I can't remember a team that was more unwatchable offensively than the Denver Broncos, and it's only going to get worse, folks. It's not getting better, considering we discussed earlier, considering their predicament with what they're gonna with when that contract really kicks in, and you start having to lose players. You might lose a Jared Judy. You might lose some other guys, Sutton or some other guy, or even some key pieces on Bradley Chubb on defense. You're gonna start losing some of those guys off a team that was already 4-13 this year. So it is it's like, it's kind of like when you miss, if you have the number one
That
pick
was their
and you
record.
miss
When you say it out loud, it's ow.
they were 4-13.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ill. I did not. Ill. Denver. Ill. Just ill. just disgusting. Just ugh.
They
Sorry. Ugh.
Yeah, no, like I said, they by
13.
five by
13. What
by
the
far
hell?
the biggest disappointment, and one of the biggest disappointments in recent memory, to be honest with you.
Well, yes, I do think there was one a notch below this actual year as well.
Cool.
Because I was going to say that's a great choice, Denver, but I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, that was a shit show.
Dumpster.
That was a shit show. That was a shit show. It's still a shit show. That was a shit show.
Dumpster fire. Just what is happening? Just I don't understand. I just don't understand. Again, organizational malpractice. They should honestly be an owner penalty. Like your franchise should have to be banned for a year. Like we need division AA. If you go down, I don't know, but there should be a penalty. You can't hire ESPN analyst as your head coach and just get away with it scot free. That should be a thing. Like no, bad owner, bad. So I wholeheartly, of course, agree with Denver. You know how I feel about Denver, but Indianapolis was pretty bad.
Hold on. Let me apologize to the Denver fans. They actually were 5-12. They won their last game, so I apologize.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
We want to get the facts here. We want to get the facts right on the Ril Dil podcast.
Yep. Gotta get it accurate. Still disgusting. Still ill. all of that. But yeah, 5-12.
Oh man, how about this for a statistical anomaly, right? So, and I I couldn't go. I had to take one more shot at the Minnesota Vikings. Well, actually, I'm not done taking shots at the Minnesota Vikings when we do our playoff predictions. So, Minnesota this year.
They do kind of.
Minnesota this year goes 13-4, right? They went 13-4. Great record. They go 13-4, but they were outscored and lost in terms of point differential. They had a -3 point differential. Do you know how hard that is? That is impossible. That's impossible.
I don't even understand it, Ril. I don't even understand it.
How does that?
I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense. It makes no sense to me. I've never seen anything like that.
Here are some teams that had a lower point differential. Here's some teams. I'll give you a couple teams. Hold on. They were -3. Well, actually, it's not as bad as I thought, but because there's some teams, all the teams had Green Bay was -1. They were 8-9. So that, but I've never seen it in my life.
Like you're looking this year, just historically.
Yes, historically, I've never seen
other team
ever
has a minus differential and has 13 wins.
I would venture to say no team has ever. That's this is the first. I eventually say
I legit have never seen this before. I have no clue how this happened. I mean, I saw it, I witnessed it, but it doesn't make sense in my head. It really, really, truly doesn't.
Yeah, no.
And then I have to, I mean, like the Green Bay game disgusted me. So at a certain point, I sound crazy if I'm sitting up here going Minnesota, yeah, Minnesota got their record, their record. I sound crazy, and then when you do a game like that against Green Bay, and then I look at that point differential, I'm just like, what? Like what that says to me, and what that said to everybody's point all year long is. This record could easily be flipped. Just
Yes.
as easily
Yes.
be flipped.
Yes.
Like there's essentially no, and you can't be trusted. You just can't.
No.
I can't come up with a valid enough argument on the opposite side of that when you give me a stat like that. There just isn't something else that I can say. And then what I personally witnessed against Green Bay, I'm just like, you disgust me. Like you disgust me. How do you lay down like that? How is that possible?
Well, I mean, I
All you
think
had
that's
on the line, as bad as they were, they laugh at you all the time. How could you possibly play a game like that? Except the answer is you're not a good team.
I think. Well, it's also a
Or at the
consistent.
very least, you're not.
Consistent.
You're not. You're an average team that got some lucky breaks. Let's say that.
Yes, that's what it is. So I think this is what happens, especially in the NFL. Which separates the consistent teams from the teams that are not consistent. So last year they lose these games because last year it was the complete opposite. They had a bunch of games where they lost a bunch of one-score games. So that, and we used to see this with franchises like Carolina, Atlanta, where you like, damn, they 11-5 this year. Now they're 5-11. So it's just like those teams are just never consistent. Like it's always like they're always, they're always going to be, hot and cold, not only from game to game, quarter to quarter, but even from year to year. So I that's what it tells me about their franchise and about, what about their direction, the direction that they're going in. Like you can't trust them.
Honestly, the Miami Dolphins are not like that.
Yes.
Post Dan Marino, definitely. Where it's just like 1 year they're 10-6, the next year they're 4 and. So anyway, that's another team that came to mind as you were saying. I was like,
we've seen teams like that. Like I said, the teams that stand out, like I said, the Carolina, Ron Rivera, those teams are always. Atlanta was notorious for doing that. Notorious in even with Matt Ryan, even going back before that. Chris Miller, the Dirty Birds, they always be up and down from year to year. 17 straight years the NFC East team has not repeated, which is almost just impossible. It's almost impossible. By far an NFL record. So that was my last crazy stat that happened with the Eagles winning the division this year. So we get to the Super Wildcard weekend. I just want to give you a list of the quarterbacks in the playoffs real quick before we get to the games. Very interesting list to say the least. I think you'll get a kick out of. So you have Mahomes, Hurts, Mahomes and Hurts, Gino Smith, Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, Skylar Thompson, Tua's out, Joe Burrow, more than likely Tyler Huntley. I don't think Lamar is playing this week. Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones. You hear that list of quarterbacks. What comes to mind?
That I mean, like it's like the names themselves aren't like out of sorts. It's just where different people are in their careers right now. That is like the obvious like thing that kind of like sticks out to me, because when I start ranking those names that you said certain big time names fall in unexpected positions on the ranking list. And so that's the thing that probably sticks out to me the most on that. But other, yeah. So that's just what's going through my head. How surprising where some of these names fall. Honestly, whoever would think Jalen Hurts would rank above Tom Brady, right? Like that's crazy.
No.
Anyway, that's what my
so here the reason why I bring this up is we can go through the course of the history of the NFL over playoff in terms of playoff quarterbacks. They're going to be a mix of legends. They're going to be a mix of up and comers, and they're going to be a mix of journeymen who have overachieved, right, for the playoffs. This year stands out because, yes, you do have the legends, you do have the up and comers, you have a couple of veterans, but you have about 3 or 4. Who the hell? Have about 3 or 4 of them, like Skylar Thompson, Tyler Huntley, Gino Smith, Brock Purdy. You have 4 of them. 4 of them.
Yep.
And what I want the audience to understand, this is not going to be an anomaly. I think this is going to be something that we see moving forward because I think the NFL has a major quarterback issue. And also with the fact that the 17-game schedule will eventually become an 18-game schedule. So, which of course increases the risk for injuries. We saw
the season. Okay.
Yep. Which we saw a record amount of quarterbacks play this year. So don't think that, okay, this is just aberration. We're not going to see these guys like this in the playoffs, like a Skylar Thompson, a Tyler Huntley. No. This is here to stay. Like, yeah, you're going to have Mahomes and you're going to have your Josh Allens. Those guys are going to be there for the next decade. But some of these other guys, some of these no names that you never heard of or that you never even thought would be leading a team in the playoffs, it's going to be at least 2 to 3 of them a year, easily. So this is something I will mark it right here, right now on January 11, 2023. We will be talking about this for the next 4 to 5, 6 years. This is going to be a trend because right now, like I said, the quarterback position is hurting in the NFL. Hurting. Once you get past a certain number. And you can say, well, it's always been like that. Yes and no, but we didn't always have 17 games. Okay. And I don't remember this many poorly run franchises, to be honest with you. I think there are so many terrible franchises in the NFL right now, more than I can remember growing up or watching football, even as a young adult, which is going to cause them to make even worse drafting mistakes. And to be honest with you, it's nothing really coming out the college pipeline that's like that. I mean, even this year, I wasn't blown away by Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Now, there's always going to be a surprise that overachieves and say, hey, I didn't see him coming. Cool. Those are going to happen. But I really was thinking about this just when I went over this list and just looking at the draft, some of the college prospects, and even just thinking about quarterbacks in general. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a list of quarterbacks who played this year. This is not even the entire list. Jarrett Stidham, Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Skylar Thompson, Sam Ehlinger, Joshua Dobbs, Sam Darnold. Those are some of the quarterbacks that played this year. And that's the short version of the list. So this will not be an aberration as far as some of these guys that you never heard of or that you wouldn't even think would be starting for a playoff team.
I have one statement that proves that sums up your points perfectly.
Go.
Brock Purdy is on the team that has a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. That's their third string quarterback.
That's all you need to know.
That's not a thing. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
That is just not a thing. It just isn't.
No. And I'm glad you bring up San Francisco. They were a candidate to win the regular season in terms of winning the regular season. They have fun. Kyle Shanahan coached his ass off this year. They did a phenomenal job. Like that. Oh my.
I have come completely to your side on this. I see San Francisco in the Super Bowl. I see
I
it.
can see it.
I see
No,
it
I can see
fairly
it.
clearly.
I
See it
can see
fairly
it.
clearly.
I can see
I
it.
see it fairly clearly.
They just
I've come to your side on this.
they play. I mean, they know who they are. They know who they are. Getting to this
And they,
weekend.
San Francisco had they get healthy. I mean, their thing is
Yes.
always health. That's their thing, and they're
Yeah.
getting everybody back. And the boy Purdy can play. He can play. He can play. He can play football. He can play that position. He's getting better week after week after week.
Yeah,
I was waiting to see if when people got tape on him, if his game would degrade. He's gotten better.
I mean, listen, it helps a lot when you have coaches putting you in
at a
position
rate,
to succeed. Like, that goes a long, long way. They're not asking him to throw the ball 40 times. They're not asking him to do no crazy, wild shit.
They're not. But that last game, he had to win it. Like they
he did. No, he
him to
did. No, he
win
did. He
this
had to make some.
game.
He's made some plays. No, he did.
That's right. He can play. He can play. The boy can play. That's why I've come to your side. I'm like, Purdy, he's a football player.
Speaking of that, that's a perfect segue to the opening game, Seattle, San Francisco. I don't expect that this will be much of a contest. They've handled Seattle both times they played in the regular season. They will handle them a third time. This probably the least most attractive game of the weekend, or one of is up there. Yeah, I could like Seattle. I think has no chance in this game. Any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no. You just heard me say San Francisco legitimate chance to win Super Bowl. They're not winning this game. I mean, they're not losing this game.
Now, the next game is very fascinating because of the quarterbacks. Jacksonville hosting the Chargers. I think the Chargers are clearly the better team. They played early in the season, and the Chargers, Jacksonville gave them all types of fits with their defense, but that was like in week 3. Chargers are not the same, nowhere near the same team. They're healthier now. They're getting healthy. You talking about getting healthy at the right moment. They're gonna have basically all their pieces back. I like the Chargers in this game, even though Jacksonville ended the season playing well and they're at home. I just think the Chargers just have better talent all around, and I think they will find a way to win a very competitive, close game. This is a very close game. It'll be a very good game. Both quarterbacks making their playoff debuts, but Herbert is a couple notches above Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not a Trevor Lawrence fan, but their level, Herbert is legitimately one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. And I think he will be the difference. And I think that team, I just think that they have superior talent to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's had an excellent season. I think they've overachieved, and I don't see them. I don't think they have enough weapons offensively to take out the Chargers. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think Jacksonville is exactly where the Chargers were last year. They probably shouldn't be in the playoffs. So they're a fringe team. And so I think that the Chargers are just a step. They're just further ahead than Jacksonville.
Yes. Yep. And they have more talent.
Right,
they have superiorly more talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
So yeah, Chargers win this game.
Miami Buffalo. Good luck, Skylar Thompson. Good luck, Skylar Thompson. I just can't I'm sorry. Miami didn't play well towards the end of the season. There's no way that this guy is walking into Buffalo, and like I said, I'm not even looking forward to this game, to be honest with you, without Tua. But it is what it is. I think Buffalo will handle them, and I think get Buffalo given another week to kind of decompress off what transpired last Monday.
Oh, it's just going to be great just to play a football game.
Yeah, just to play just play a football game. Yep, just to play a football game that kind of feels regular. It's not regular because it's the playoffs.
Your rival, all the
I don't see what all Buffalo's going to do is stuff the run and tell and say Skylar Thompson beat us. That's all. That will be the game plan, and he will not be able to beat them. What are your thoughts?
It's an annoying game to play just because it's a division rival, so they know us really well.
Right.
So that's what's going to make it more physical and more of a fight than a first round game against a non-divisional rival with similar talent deficiencies would be. But with that said, Skylar Thompson, Tua, they wasn't winning this game. This game wasn't going to be won by Miami.
No, I agree with that. No. Even with Tua, no. The way even like no, I think no. New York, Minnesota. This actually might be one of the more. This actually is a game that I'm actually into. New York almost beat them a couple of weeks ago. I am two teams that I'm down on right now that have going in the opposite, that are trending. Talk about stock down are Minnesota and Dallas. I don't trust either one of these teams. The Giants, to their credit, since they beat the Commanders a few weeks back, have played well. Daniel Jones has played well. They've got Saquon Barkley back on track. He had finished the season with 1,300 yards rushing. I like the Giants in this game, even though the game's at Minnesota. I don't trust Minnesota whatsoever. I definitely don't trust Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. And even though this is Daniel Jones' first playoff start on the road, I think the Giants are just a mentally tougher football team. I think they are better coached. To be honest with you, I'll give Dable the benefit of the doubt and give him an edge. Give him the edge over O'Connell. Even though O'Connell's pretty good, he's fine. O'Connell's fine. I'm not disparaging him, but I think Dable is a very good coach, and I like the Giants in this game, a close game. I think the Giants. I think playing that game earlier in the season, not earlier in the season, just a few weeks back, and almost winning that game. They could have easily won that game. Bodes well. Hard to beat a team twice that when two teams are evenly matched, like in a short time span. So unless you're just clearly the better team, which that's not the case with Minnesota. So I like the Giants in this game. One team is trending up, the other team is trending down. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick Minnesota, but do I feel confident about it? Absolutely not. I think all your points are well taken. I'm just irritated that Minnesota is making me. They're just annoying me right now. Making me sound crazy over and over again. The talent gap is significant between the two teams, right? Like the talent gap is significant, and that's the only reason that I can possibly pick Minnesota. But I don't feel great about it. I just have to be honest. I don't feel great about it.
Baltimore and Cincinnati.
But you're right. It's a fascinating game.
Yes. Yeah. Baltimore and Cincinnati. This game is tricky, a little tricky. I like Cincinnati, but I don't think Lamar Jackson's playing myself. I don't. But when you start talking about division rivals, Baltimore did play them well last week with their third string quarterback, and they didn't play anybody last week. Like Baltimore really sat their starters. They sat Huntley and sat like 6 starters, and they still gave Burrow some fits. Cincinnati was trying to win the game. I think this game will be more competitive than what people actually will think it will be. I think the pressure is clearly on Cincinnati to win this, especially if Jackson doesn't play, which I don't expect him to. I could see this 24-17. Like I really could see this being a 4-quarter game. I do respect Baltimore's pride. I like that we know Harbaugh. We've had some issues with some of him earlier, maybe earlier this season. The defense has played. Baltimore has fixed their defense, so their defense is fine right now. To be honest with you, they are a playoff-ready defense. It's not what we saw in the first basically 2 months or so of the season. Their defense is played at a high level. They won't be able to score enough points, but I think they will be very competitive in this game. But Cincinnati, has more talent, and they have Joe Burrow. So that will be the difference. But I think this would be a very competitive, highly competitive football game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like Boston, like just bought to your point, Baltimore's pride. I think Cincinnati's clearly the better team. But I agree with you, Baltimore. Like they're Pittsburgh. I mean, like they just don't stop. They don't quit. They don't make excuses. It just doesn't. They just keep coming. So yeah, 24-17 game feels about right.
And finally, Dallas, Tampa Bay on Monday night. Neither one of these teams is coming into the playoffs playing well. I told you how bad Dallas has been, but Tampa hasn't been much better, to be honest with you. They've had a couple of close wins. They should have lost the New Orleans game. They could have easily lost against a bad Arizona team. Yeah, they beat Carolina, but Carolina's not any good. Ultimately, I think that, man, I just don't like what I've seen out of Dallas. I don't like what I've seen out of Dallas. Dallas is clearly has more talent, but again, I get to experience and pride in a big game. I'm still taking Tom Brady over Dak Prescott. Sorry, and I know Brady's not what he once was, but he still was pretty good this year. All things considered, he had some moments. He had more moments of more downtime this year, or times that he was down than we've seen in recent years. But it's kind of like, I remember with the Spurs and Tim Duncan was getting older. It's like, damn, both his knees are shot, but they get to the playoffs, he's still Tim Duncan. He's still gonna give you a couple of rounds where he can put you in a position to possibly win a championship. Now that's not the case with Tampa Bay. Even Tampa Bay wins this game, they're not a contender. We know this. But I think Tom Brady has one game in him to where I just think, first of all, I think he's never lost to the Cowboys. That's number one. And I definitely think that the Cowboys, that Todd Bowles will be like, you know what, Dak Prescott, they're going to take away their running game. They're going to dare Dak Prescott to beat them. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I just don't. Again, on the paper, it's not a mismatch, but Dallas has better talent. But I just don't trust them right now. I don't trust them. They're a little banged up on the opposite line. And the momentum going into the playoffs with how they ended the season, I don't think they can turn on and just be like, okay, we here now, let's go win it. Like, nah, I don't think that's a faucet you turn on. I will take the veteran. I will take Tampa's veteran leadership led by, of course, Tom Brady, their defense, and this will be a rock fight. This game is not gonna be a lot. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of points in this game, to be honest with you. I'll take Tampa Bay like 20-17. I think it's the last. I think it's actually a field goal game. But I like Tampa Bay and home field as well. So I have no faith in Dallas right now. I'm down. That Minnesota and Dallas, could not pick them in these rounds based on how they were playing.
Yeah, Dallas beats Tampa Bay to death, and Tom Brady's out of Tampa Bay. I think they know it. I think Tom Brady knows it. I think Tampa's cooked. Dallas has bigger things to play for. This game isn't close.
Oh wow, you think it's a blowout?
Yeah, they beat them to death. Tampa's done. They got nothing. Tom Brady has nothing. They're done.
I don't see I don't see a blowout. Like I don't see how this game is not close. I don't. I can't. That would be the story of the weekend to me if this game's not close. I don't see how this game's not close. I just don't think Dallas is capable. The Dallas team I'm watching right now.
Yeah. No. We know you hate Dallas. This is the last thing I'll say. Is this is a game I will not be watching at all. I have no interest in watching this game. Dallas, Tampa Bay, please. None.
Oh, so I will make we'll make predictions as each round goes on. But here's what I'll say about. I will give you my conference championship and my Super Bowl prediction even right now. AFC Championship, I don't think without question, I would be shocked if it's not Philadelphia, San Francisco. I like that. That's going to be the NFC Championship. And I won't make the Super Bowl prediction because I don't know that game. I don't know right now. I don't know who will win that game. You lean towards San Francisco, but Philadelphia, if Hurts, gets healthier, and who knows? Philadelphia is a more complete team if Hurts is Hurts, but San Francisco is playing better. And has a better coach, slightly better coach. But that's without question the NFC Championship. AFC wise, I think it's going to be. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know because that Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Charger, those four teams, like those are the four times. Like somebody in the AFC is going to wreck. Somebody's going to be a playoff record. There's going to be somebody that wrecks. That just wrecks the playoffs. Because I think that the AFC obviously is deeper, and I think that those four teams are relatively closely matched as far as talent goes, and none of them are afraid of each other. So I really don't know. I have more confidence right now in Kansas City and Cincinnati and Buffalo, as far as if I were ranking them, or Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, wherever. But I can't tell you who's going to be in the AFC Championship. To be honest with you, I can't. I don't know. What I do know is one of those two. Somebody in this wild card round is going to wreck. Is going to wreck the AFC playoffs in some way, shape, or form. It won't be. I'll put it to you this way: like San Francisco and Philadelphia are 1 and 2 seed. You will not have a 1 and 2 seed in the AFC Championship. It will not be. It won't go like that. It won't go chalk from that standpoint. So that's my thoughts overall. As we head into the playoffs, you have any thoughts overall? Like you like San Francisco to go to the Super Bowl. What about the AFC?
I think Kansas City makes it to the Super Bowl. I think you are incorrect in your assessment of the AFC. I think, it's the big three, and San Diego is very much the little brother. They're not ready for this fight at all. And so then it becomes Cincinnati and Buffalo. I'm a Bills fan. So I'll split it a little bit. Like, if Josh Allen is playing like the Josh Allen I saw last game, like I said, I'm not gonna criticize that game, but there were things that annoyed me. If that Josh Allen's playing against Cincinnati, we lose. But if we just focus on winning the game, which I'm fairly sure is gonna happen, then Buffalo beats Cincinnati, and it's all that. Buffalo and Kansas City have been on collision course this entire year. Nothing has changed. And so it's going to be about that neutral home field. That more than anything will fuel Buffalo. You want to talk about a talking point? That's going to fuel the team. That's going to fuel the team. Not the Demar Hamlin thing. It's the fact that we got to play Kansas City on a neutral site, and we beat them in the regular season. That game is happening, sir. It's happening.
I hope it does.
It's happening.
I hope it does.
It's happening, and I can't say that game. If I'm be real, like this, my Super Bowl prediction is Kansas City, San Francisco.
Yeah, again, I will give you the championship in AFC in NFC. I just don't know what the AFC. I definitely don't have a Super Bowl prediction right now. Because even with Philadelphia, San Francisco, I don't know who's going to win that game. I don't. That game, I don't have a feel for that. I would have to see both those teams play.
San Francisco, Philadelphia at full strength. Please give me that game. I want that game.
Yeah, I want that. Yeah, that would be that would be
that one I want. I want to see that.
That game would that would be one for the ages. That would be at full. That would be one with even like a 90% Jalen Hurts at 90%. And again, I think that game's going to happen because unlike the AFC, there's no one to me that's going to wreck the playoffs that's playing this weekend. No one. No one. I have no regard for any of these teams in NFC that are playing, that are even remotely a threat to Philly or San Francisco. I just don't. AFC different story, but NFC no. I think the NFC is pretty clear cut. I disagree with you about the Chargers too. I think the Chargers can make. I think the Chargers can make some serious noise. I do. I would not be surprised if the Chargers are in the AFC Championship. Would not surprise me. Would not. So we will see what happens. Again, you will get plenty of football from Saturday to Monday.
So much football.
It's a lot. No, it's a lot. There'll be a lot of football. I listen. It's never going back. Matter of fact, I mean, we're going to eventually go to an 18-game season. I prefer just 6 teams and two wild and two bye and top 2 seeds being get bye week. That's my personal preference. That's my personal preference. I think 7 teams is too much, and I think now because now these teams now we got teams that are not even playoff caliber teams in the playoffs. Like Jacksonville's not a playoff team. Jacksonville's not a playoff team, man. You have Seattle wasn't a playoff team this year. They were not a playoff team. Okay, so it's like that, but that's where we're at. With the NFL, with want to grab every single dollar known to mankind, which will continue to be the case. But it starts to bother me when I see non-playoff teams in the playoffs. Like you didn't belong there, and you didn't belong there. We know you did, and to be honest with you, making the playoffs is no longer a big deal anymore in the NFL. It's not. I don't think making the playoffs in terms of I think you actually have to win a game to consider it to be. So if you really want to start, sticking your chest out, it's not hard. It's no longer that hard to make the playoffs in the NFL anymore. Like 14 out of 32 teams are gonna make it. So that's almost 50% of the league. So, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get a lot of football. As always, thanks to Mr. Sapp for joining me.
All right, appreciate you, sir. Have a great rest of your week.
We'll see you next time. Enjoy your evening. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. This podcast, of course, will be up tomorrow morning. We're amongst also with some clips as well. You can, of course, subscribe to this podcast on my YouTube channel. Find me at anywhere where podcasts are available. Have a great rest of your evening. So long.